Round the clock and across the world, this is TVC's World Now. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi has embarked on a visit of 4 African nations: Namibia, the Republic of Congo, Nigeria, and Chad. This visit marks the 35th consecutive year that the Chinese Foreign Minister has chosen Africa as the destination for his first overseas trip of the year. For decades, China's annual visits have underscored a deep-rooted partnership as well as mutual respect between China and Africa. Over the years, the visits have enhanced diplomatic ties and overseen the establishment of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation. This year's trip is expected to encompass discussions on major economic partnerships in the 4 African countries. The visit will also facilitate people-to-people exchanges beyond economic interests, and analysts are optimistic that both China and Africa will continue to pursue their common objectives in peace, stability, and development. Namibia, the Republic of Congo, Chad, and Nigeria are all friendly cooperation partners of China. Joining me live to discuss the relationship between China and the African continent is global affairs analyst Colin Saweke. Mr. Weke, thanks for joining us this hour. This visit, we understand, is marking 35 consecutive years the Chinese foreign minister has chosen Africa as the destination for his overseas trip of the year. What does this say about China's strategic priorities and how Africa fits into its global agenda?
Thank you, Nifemi, for having me. Happy New Year. Well, 35 years of consecutive, annual visits to Africa by China speaks to China's policy consistency towards Africa. As a matter of fact, I think it bears remembering that, during the COVID-19, when vocal, which has become a very, very important policy tool for, Chinese engagement with Africa, while the rest of the world were seeking excuses not to engage with Africa, China actually organized, one of such visits, just to let you know how seriously they take Africa. Now, do they take Africa seriously because, they love Africa so much? No, certainly far from it. Certainly not. The reason they are engaged so consistently with Africa is because Africa has become that bride, that every suitor wants. And it appears that it is only Africa that doesn't, quite comprehend why every bride wants it. So China is in Africa because of, what Africa means to it economically. And so when they come to Africa, it is because Africa is of strategic importance to China in terms of, a place where they can, deposit their, products, and also a place where they can take as much natural resources as Africa, has to, offer. So yes, it's a strategic relationship, and China is making the best out of it, even though it can indeed be said that China interprets national interests, its national interests broader than other countries of the world in terms of also cushioning the relationship in such a way that it really means something for Africa, that it delivers good for Africa.
Talk about the economic partnerships expected during this particular trip. We've seen a lot of investments in the area of infrastructure, but are there downsides to these relations between China and the continent?
Well, I mean, the most obvious that people could think about in terms of the downside is, Chinese loan diplomacy. China has over the years provided concessional loans and grants for large-scale projects, often in exchange for access, like I said earlier, to Africa's resources or its, strategic partnership. Now, we have heard of situations where African countries actually defaulted in those loans to the point that, their sovereignty, was, China actually taking over some very, very, critical national infrastructure. So besides that, we should also remember that China is not only engaged in, infrastructural development, they are also engaged in what we call soft diplomacy, where person-to-person relationship is very much emphasized in terms of cultural exchange, in terms of, all sorts of things, exchange in art, educational exchange, academic exchange, and all of that. So their relationship is a very, very broadly strategic one that goes indeed beyond infrastructural development.
Well, I guess we have to continue this conversation subsequently. We are having some really poor audio quality, but thank you so much for your contribution this hour.